The Las Vegas GP is right around the corner, and it looks like it doesn't come without some controversies. Formula One has been accused yet again of ruining the Sin City as race organisers have caused chaos in trying to prepare it for the upcoming race weekend. On top of that, this is one of the few races that is being held on Saturday, at least when you consider the local time. So given the time differences and the adaptations that the drivers will have to make, what types of issues are they going to meet, and more importantly, how will the tyres bode this time around? One of the biggest questions when it comes to Las Vegas is the time of the event, as the race is being held on Saturday and starts around 10 o'clock local time, which means that the European fans will have to watch it very early in the morning. It's 6 a.m. UK time and 7 a.m. in the GMT+1 zone. Nevertheless, the track itself poses some massive challenges for the organisers as well as the drivers because of the time it's being held. While the lights are shining the brightest during the night, they do not increase the temperature of the asphalt, and we're going to see some massive question marks over the tyres being brought to their optimal working temperature. Obviously, one of the greatest challenges in a race, especially in qualifying, is to bring the tyres to the optimal working temperature to make one hell of a lap and start as close to the front as possible. Then in the race, these working windows need to be maintained to a certain level in a combination with team tactics and the track surface, which in this case, while being brand new, is going to be extremely cold because the race is held at night and it's in the middle of the desert where the temperatures tend to get extremely low. The forecast for the entire weekend is cold, to say the least, and while this was more or less the same story as last year, it became overshadowed by the incident that Sainz endured after running over a manhole and totally destroying his chassis, and the more controversial move was to make Ferrari pay for all of it and cause a further dent in their budget. Nevertheless, what we're going to see this weekend doesn't bode too well for the tyres, as they already had issues with warming due to the conditions that made the track a bit colder than usual. For the first practice session, the temperature is expected to be 11 degrees Celsius, and the maximum it could achieve should be in the third practice session, and in the race 13 degrees Celsius. Nevertheless, the fact that the race is held at night and it doesn't have any natural sunlight to help the drivers warm up their tyres could result in some dangerous crashes due to cold tyres, and it's something that we're very well aware of in the previous outing here last year. While the race itself went in a good fashion in 2023, that doesn't automatically mean we're going to see good racing this time as well, even though the new asphalt that was put last year does help a lot because it allows the tyres to warm up a bit easier than usual. And it seems like the interest of the locals and the fans is lowered a bit for this year, something that has been spoken about by the Convention Authority President and CEO Steve Hill, saying that he expects that the 90 to 100,000 tickets that are still available will be sold, but it would be hard to live up to the 2023 ticket sales impact. Furthermore, he said, year one is kind of a double-edged sword. On one end, you have this huge demand. Everybody wants to be at this inaugural race, and it was an experience that is going to be hard to replicate. When you get to year two, the demand for the race isn't the same, and that's not just here in Las Vegas, that's in every race that F1 has opened a new race. But this is just part of the problems that Las Vegas has caused on the usual agenda. The drivers are not the only ones who are being hurt by the changes that are made on the track. Last year, there was total chaos and blockage of the Las Vegas city because of the new asphalt being put in order to suit the inaugural GP, but that was just part of the problem. Many fans were blocked from viewing the race because the pedestrian bridges were blanked thanks to an order that came from the F1 organisers, which, while makes sense because it means that these fans are watching the race for free, it's still a step in the wrong direction if you're asking the locals. This year, the Las Vegas GP has taken things even further, and they've placed metal barriers in order to prevent the free watch for fans who haven't paid for their tickets. Nevertheless, the entire city is flooded with chaos thanks to the construction work that has taken place to erect the circuit barriers, fences, curbs, lighting gantries, grandstand seating and all the other infrastructure, which in a city like Las Vegas means a lot because it's very compacted and it's causing a lot of chaos for the locals who are living there. And of course, the driver's opinion is something that will be very important here, because if you were to ask the three-time world champion, Max Verstappen, he would arguably say that this race is made purely for show purposes and has nothing to do with actual racing itself. Alonso has shared similar comments too by stating that the modern era Formula One cars are not built to be driven in circuits like Las Vegas, and therefore the sport might want to expand in other venues rather than here, where it's too narrow for two cars to go wheel to wheel into the corner. The Las Vegas race might face some issues when it comes to the qualifying laps, or more precisely, the drivers preparing these laps, because by the time they're bringing enough heat to the tyres, it could be gone for their first lap. So we might see 2 warm-up laps before they send it fully on one of the longest tracks on the calendar. But that means that they would have to spend a larger portion of their battery in order to achieve that, which would further hinder their chances of scoring a better result. Again, we didn't see this last year, but with temperatures being so low this year, we might see quite a few changes. What we must not forget is the most important factor: the money and the revenue that this race will bring to the sport. And according to reports, last year the race generated a net economic impact of $1.5 billion, which made it the most lucrative event in the city's history, according to Jeremy Aguero, a principal analyst with the financial consulting firm Applied Analysis. However, it looks like this is not going to be the case for the current year, because while the impact will be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, similar to last year, it's definitely not going to be the most watched event in America, and it will likely fall behind the Super Bowl. When talking about the race and the expectations in terms of revenue, Aguero said it's going to be significant, and it's going to be one of the largest events Southern Nevada has in the calendar year 2024. Other communities would certainly want to have events at that level of impact. Whether that's $400, $600 or $800 million, it's too early to be able to tell. The economic impact is certainly going to be lower than it was a year ago, but that has a lot to do with the capital construction associated with the project being substantially less. We are now benefiting from all of the capital construction that took place last year. And of course, there are always going to be people who are dissatisfied with the entire race weekend, because if you think about it, the closing of the greater part of Las Vegas means that a lot of small businesses won't be accessible to the fans and the viewers, and it would significantly impact the economy of the city. Last year, local businesses like pizza shops and restaurant owners blamed F1 for taking all of the glory and the money from Las Vegas and then giving back zero to the city itself. All of this is going to put a lot of pressure on Formula One to prove that they're not just here for the glory and the glamour, they're here to promote racing too. While other series like Formula 3 and Formula 2 are yet to follow suit in Las Vegas from 2026 onwards, Formula One has a steady contract, and it'll be interesting to see how this year will pan out in terms of racing and on-track behaviour of the cars. With all this in mind, what do you think about the Las Vegas GP? And more importantly, do you think that the temperatures will play a huge role in where the cars finish at the end of the day? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested in Sainz's bombshell on Ferrari amid his departure to Williams, make sure to click on the video that appears on your screen right now.